It seems like there are new cameras and equipment coming out all of the time. It gets increasingly confusing and the FOMO is real. Jon and I have been preaching for years that the best way to try out new gear is to rent before you buy. There is only one place that we recommend when it comes to renting, and that is our friends over at Lens Rentals. Lens Rentals is the premier source for renting not only camera equipment, but lenses, drones, projectors, and more. Do you have a big project coming up and you really need to wow your couple? Wanting to test out the newest camera before you drop thousands on it? You need Lens Rentals. My favorite thing is that if I love something I rent, I can keep it. They apply a portion of the rental fee to the purchase price, and within a few simple clicks, the gear is mine. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/lensrentals and use promo code HTFW15 at checkout for 15% off of your order. Lens Rentals, the only place we recommend renting.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Jon Bunn, and today I am recording this episode sans Nicholas. I'm a little sad about it, but I made up for it with Alex and Jon from Alexandra Madison Films. They also run a TikTok account with 800,000 followers. They have a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram. And we talk about just the power of putting yourself in front of the camera and how you can do this as a wedding filmmaker to grow your business. It's a really, really good episode. We had a really good conversation. We went a little long just because we were talking about so many things. So buckle up, get ready for this episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. All right. Well, thank you, Alex and Jon, for joining us today. Why don't you take a second and just say who the heck are you? What do you do? Where are you from? Just let everybody know who you all are.
Jon likes to say that I talk too much, so you can take this, Jon.
We're Jon and Alex. We're that husband and wife cinematography team. That's all I got.
TikTokers, wedding videographers, podcasters. We met on Tinder.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's right.
I love it. If you don't know these two, they're kind of low on personality, but they make up for it in really good looks.
None.
Yes. No, I'm kidding. You guys are absolutely killing it on all the things social media. We met back in, when was that? August or September?
I think
October?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I'm like October.
It was really
September.
hot in Texas. I don't know. Was it August?
We were sweating.
I think September.
In Texas.
I want to
at
say.
Vision Quest.
Yeah.
Met you guys. Fangirled. I think I fangirled about you. You guys fangirled a little. We signed each other's cameras and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, the How to Film Wedding guys.
I'm like, oh my gosh, Alex and Jon from TikTok are here. So it was a good time. Got to meet you and hang out with you on a boat. To spend some time with you, and have followed you before and since, and just watching you all kill it when it comes to your TikTok, your Instagram. Everything is just exploding for you guys in a really good way. And you're wedding filmmakers, and it was like you got into doing social media, getting in front of the camera. I really just wanted to have you guys on to kind of talk to our listeners just about the power of social media, what it's done for you. But give me a little bit of history on your business. What's it like, your wedding business, when that got started? When did Tinder come into play? Was that before or after? Just give me some of that story.
All great questions. Yeah. So we met in Raleigh, North Carolina, on Tinder. But when I met Jon, I was actually working for a wedding film company down there. Loved it. I just loved being around weddings, having a camera in my hands. I always knew that I wanted to do something video related. And then Jon, he was an occupational therapist. And I wouldn't say you were too happy about your job.
Well, I'm still technically a therapist, but I think we were kind of at a crossroads of what we wanted to do. I've never seen work like hers before. I never really looked at wedding films before, but when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing stuff.
He was like, I can't believe weddings, you make them look nice. They're beautiful.
I mean, I was still at the point where I thought wedding films were, putting the camera in someone's face and asking them questions. Mm-hmm. That's how much I knew about it at that point. So just to see her work, I was just amazed by it.
So I was just not necessarily, I loved what I did, but I wasn't loving the company I was working for at the time. So I knew I wanted to expand, and Jon was like, you could do this. I'll help you. Like, I'll join you. You train me. So we kind of just like hit the ground running, and I was like, cool, let's do it. We'll move to New York. I didn't know a lot of like female filmmakers in the area. So I love to talk, love to connect with people. So I was like, I'm going to make friends with all the planners, all the photographers, and just like build a business in New York. And we're really lucky that like we were able to start a business and like launch full time like right away. Like we didn't really struggle.
Yeah, we were definitely
thankfully.
very fortunate with that for sure.
I think it was Jon's mustache. Actually, I don't know if you had
I didn't have that.
I was gonna say if you had it, I
It's
don't.
more of a TikTok thing.
It's too much to handle.
So like our first year in business, I think we had like 12 weddings. And then our second year, the year that we were planning our wedding, we had like 30 weddings. And I was doing it full time myself. Like Jon was still an occupational therapist. So he was working Monday through Friday at a nursing home, and I was editing. So I did all the editing. And then on the weekends we would shoot together. So we were stressed. Yeah.
But we noticed like, so we're growing. And then we kind of just talked to him like something has to give. Either you hire someone or I bite the bullet and we just do this full time together. And,
and then,
glad we took that plunge.
And then COVID happened. And I was like, so it was like really quick. We were in business for 2 years, and then going into our third year, the pandemic hit. Or maybe it was going into our third year. And I was like, oh shit, like don't quit your job yet. We lost all these weddings. Everyone was postponing to the next year, as you know. And so our year went from like a packed year of weddings to just like dead. We had, I still think like a few that were smaller, intimate weddings in New York, but New York was so strict and so crazy. So we were like, what is this year gonna look like? So like most people during the pandemic, we just hopped on TikTok. Well, I did for fun.
This was definitely all Alex hopping on TikTok. So I was, essential worker. I still had to work every day. So Alex was at home, and, with her bubbly personality, TikTok was perfect for her. So she would start it, and then I'd get home from work. She'd be like, I got this great skit we should do. I was very reluctant at first.
It was interesting because at first I was like, should we post like, we're professional videographers, right? Like we have all this great gear that we could blow these people on TikTok out of the water with like insane videos. But then you like quickly realize that like that's just because you have good quality work, that's not what sells on TikTok. Like you need to use your iPhone and do like what is, I don't know, like natural to the app. So we found out that like, showing our personalities was I guess the key. And it really was a hit to my ego in the beginning because I was like, I have worked my entire life to be a cinematographer. This is what I do for work. And now we have these viral videos that I'm making on my iPhone. So it was a little hit to my ego, I would say, in the beginning.
So you guys what year was it where you like officially moved to New York and started the business? Like 18?
2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you made all these connections. You started filming all these weddings. A pandemic hits. You're still trying.
We were in Raleigh at that time, by the way. So we've moved so many times. So we were in like New York for 2 years, started the company there. Then we found a house we loved in Raleigh where we met, moved back to Raleigh. Then COVID hit.
Because we were just traveling back and forth for weddings because I have family in New York. So I was like, we'll just travel back and forth. It was not ideal.
And you're talking New York City or are you talking New York State? Just like in the state?
Long
Island, like in the middle of Long Island.
So it's like 40 minutes from the city, but we were covering all the tri-state. So we did a lot in New Jersey, a lot in the city, and then a lot like out east in the Vineyard area, the Hamptons.
Very cool.
None in the South.
That's where I'm at. But it's a little different market for sure. Yeah. And so the pandemic hits, and I mean, for us in Oklahoma, like it closed down in March, but we were filming regular size weddings in May. Like 2 months later, we were back. Like we were back to normal. Like it was like a 6-week break. A lot of people moved their stuff to the fall.
Wow.
But like I was filming pretty big weddings, I don't know, a month after everything shut down, just like back to normal.
Right.
A lot more spread out here. There's like 4 million people in the whole state.
You have more air.
It's not like crammed on top of each other kind of thing. But so I remember same with the pandemic, it like, oh, TikTok. Okay. Like I'll get on there. Like I'm the guy that's like not afraid to like try a new app and just be on it and learn it. 'Cause I'm always learning like, how could this affect me as a business owner? What could I do? What could I like? So I'm just absorbing. And I think I was one of your first couple hundred followers, like just as a wedding film, something. And then I was like, I saw a video where you guys were just being funny, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Like they're funny. That's good. I like that. And then like I saw another one, and I was like, oh, they're funny. Like they're funny wedding filmmakers. This is cool. Like they're doing. And then I looked back and I was like, you have 50,000 followers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they are doing like they. But you guys were just being consistent.
They're doing it.
You guys are being consistent and. Like, I would love to talk about like the growth that you guys have had on TikTok, what it's done for you, that sort of a thing. But consistency, I think, is so very important in any area of any business. And just like watching people that are like, I see a lot of wedding filmmakers that just are inconsistent when it comes to social media or their brand. They post a little bit, then they go away, and then they post a little bit, and 5 months later they do something. And I'm the firm believer that like you can build a brand without social media, but also why would you not use social media when it's there, especially with the way TikTok and Instagram Reels are going, where you can just blow up and show up to so many people. So tell me a little bit about the story. You got going a little bit on it, but like you said, Alex, that you like did a skit or you had an idea for a skit. Like, what was that like? Because I feel like Jon, after getting to meet him, might have been a little reluctant to like what was this
100%.
like? What was the story of like how that? Yeah.
Well, so again, Jon,
What is this dynamic?
as an essential worker, he was coming home exhausted. He was shot and was like, the last thing I want to do is
like put on a face,
get in front of camera. Because again, like we being behind the camera, Jon's like, I don't want to, I'm not an actor. Like I'm not trying to like say these things, but me being on the app, I knew like that we could do it. And because like behind the scenes, I was like, Jon, like you're very like dry and funny. Like he's a miserable person, but it's hilarious. Like
the little that I've known him,
Alex, yeah. I feel like I'm getting just dragged around constantly by Alex. I just do what I'm told pretty much. But like Alex has been making videos of herself since like home videos, literally home videos since she was a kid with her friends, like skits or like, dance videos and
tracks,
stuff.
yes.
So, she's a natural.
Yeah. So like I've always edited. I've always been like, this is what we're doing. But again, we just did it for fun. I didn't really think that it would turn into something. But yeah, the more time that we spent on the app, the more I like realized that skits are like what goes viral. And it's all relatable content, like figuring out that what people want to watch is just something that they could share with their friends. So I would come up with these ideas. I would keep a notes app in my phone, and I still have some notes from the pandemic, but now it's like thousands of ideas. Like anytime I get an idea for a skit, I just write it down in the notes app. But I would tell Jon, and he's like, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
She's like trying to give me the whole idea and stuff. I'm like, break it down.
Like,
What's the
listen
first
to
thing I
this.
say?
This is
What's the next
hilarious.
thing I say?
And then so we didn't expect it to blow up. And then I think like with anything like that though, the first viral video, we were like, what? Like we got to try to get the next one. And so it's like this little high that you're consistently chasing. So we knew that like you have to post pretty consistently, especially on TikTok, like 1 to 2 days or 1 to 2 times a day. And so we were posting consistently, slowly like gaining traction. And then we had a phone case company reach out and they were like, we want to send you a free phone case. And I was like, Jon, we made it. We
phone cases
made
for
it.
days.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
Days. And they were like, we will send you this free phone case if you post. And I was like, done.
The best
Easy.
money that
Like,
phone
this
case
is
company has
crazy.
ever spent.
Yeah, right. Shipping and the $2. But I mean, I don't even know that we like thought that we were going to ever get paid. We just were like so stoked that we were getting free stuff from it. But then like consistently kept going and then started, someone was like, oh, we'll pay you $500 to do this. And it was just mind blowing that we could like make money and get free stuff doing this. Again, keeping it completely separate from our wedding film company because we were like, we don't know how long TikTok's going to be around. It's going to be shut down.
Ride that wave.
China's going to, right. We were like, Trump's going to shut it down. So we just were doing it as long as we could until it was.
That's
gonna be
actually why we
deleted.
started the podcast, is because I remember when Trump was saying he was going to get rid of
Ban
TikTok. So
TikTok.
I'm like, we got all these followers.
Yeah.
We should do something with it. So
But at the same time, like keeping it completely separate from our wedding film company, we were like, as much as we could post on our wedding films, like our personalities, because we still on our business account, we still posted a little bit of the behind the scenes of our life. Because as you were saying earlier, like I think it's important to consistently show up and like post on social media. It's a free marketing tool. But as a consumer, because when I was a bride looking for vendors, I wanted to see who I was working with. So I loved seeing people's faces, seeing their personalities, because I felt like I was already connected to them before I even hired them and before I even inquired with them. So I think that one tip that I would always have for new videographers, any vendor in the industry, is to show up as yourself, post on stories, show behind the scenes. Like, people love learning about other people. And again, that's like why we started the podcast too, was because people were begging for like a YouTube channel. And to us, that was very overwhelming. I was like, yo, we already do weddings and work with video full time. The last thing I want to do is do a YouTube channel.
Going back to what you said though about like keeping it separate, I think at first we were a little reluctant to show like, you know, our real selves, like funny, you know, kind of
Inappropriate.
We're like, we don't want to show that kind of on the business side of like our weddings. And then,
well, because I was so nervous that like people wouldn't want to book us because we were out there and inappropriate and talking about like gross things or like
sex,
drinking and sex. Yeah. And so, but like, then I had someone who was one of our brides. She was like, Alex, you have to realize that like we're people too. Like, we also have personalities, and this makes us feel like we're friends with you. So that like made me more at ease to like put our personalities out there more.
And if anything, it helped us grow more, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, just really showing who we were just benefits you.
I think that just that fear of, I did this forever. I just switched to John Bunn Films. I was Redeemed Productions forever. And like my fear was, oh my gosh, like girls would not want to hire a guy to film their wedding. This was 2007, 8, 9. I didn't know. And was just like, I can't let people know who I am. I have to just be this company. And back then it was just the logo and the rose petals falling and just keeping it bachelor style, making it feel real cheesy and all that stuff. But as I started to get more expensive, I started to realize that people were connecting with me more so than they were like a brand. And then I got comfortable being in front of a camera, and that's all I do now is be in front of a camera. But getting comfortable being uncomfortable is the way that you're going to grow. That's the way that you're going to grow your business. Is like, if you're not uncomfortable somewhere, you're not growing. And it's just like, I remember listening to Dak Shepard's podcast when he had Bill Gates on, and Bill Gates was like, I'm always trying to be confused about something. And if I'm not confused, that means I'm not learning. I'm not growing. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Like, people quit when they get confused, you know? So, go ahead.
I mean, like, oh no, sorry, I just cut you off. But I was going to say, like, when you talk about showing up to John,
Alex
shut up.
Alex has
I
more
like
to say.
that she has more to say.
Basically, I'm just going to just get rid of my mic.
No, but like showing up on stories, for instance, like I remember like seeing some videographers showing behind the scenes, and John will be like, Alex, you got to do that. Like, you're so good, like talking. And I'm like, I can't, I'm so nervous. Like, people are going to judge me. And then you overanalyze yourself on camera the first few times. You're like, oh my gosh, my hair's out of place. I sound like an idiot. I hate how my voice sounds. But it's like what you said, the more that you do something, you get comfortable doing it. But you're so uncomfortable to start, but it's like getting through that awkwardness.
Yeah. And you didn't cut me off. It's fine. It was fine. I like it. This doesn't really happen much on our podcast. I'm usually the one cutting people off, so this is great. I like it. So
You've met your man.
I have. I have. I feel like when we were at the same room, it was like, okay, we're kind of the same. I like you. You're like me. Yeah. You're a little more like you're like saturation turned up a little more than me, but I like it.
Takes all the pressure off me. I just sit there, just nod my head. I'm like, what she said.
So you started.
Now I'm like,
you started posting these things, right? You started posting them and started growing. And now, like, why don't you explain kind of where it has taken you today? Anything you want to share about, like, just what your brand is on TikTok? I'm going to pull it back around and like get some tips from you here in a minute, just about like people that aren't necessarily wanting to grow and become like an influencer or something, but if you were just focused on your wedding brand, you know, like what tips would you have for people on TikTok and Instagram? So I'm going to get back around to that, but I want to hear the story of like, okay, you got a phone case. Somebody offered you $500.
Yeah.
Like, you've been doing TikTok consistently for 24 months now or so, but maybe just talk about like the journey, what you started doing, kind of just laying out the next steps of like after the $500 thing or the phone case, what happened next? How consistent were you? Just give me all the details.
I don't remember the next
Yeah.
the next brand, but I feel like we were fumbling around with like pricing and whatnot because we didn't know anyone else.
Yeah, we had
in the
no idea what
industry.
we were doing. Like people were reaching out and being like, what are your rates? Because anytime we would have a viral video, we would have our inbox full of just brands. And they're like, we want to send you this. We want to work with you. Like, what are
Free
your
product
rates?
or like promo code to get like, you know.
Yeah. So we found, we had an influencer friend who was on Instagram, not TikTok. And we were like, what do you do? She's like, well, you need a media kit. And we're like, what the heck is that? So I did a ton of research, Googled a media kit, made our own, which basically is like a portfolio of like with all of your stats, your demographics, your numbers, your rates, brands who you've worked with, like a little bio about us, like a short page PDF. So we would send that to companies. And then anytime we would either number one, like be overwhelmed or just when a brand wouldn't bat an eye at a number, we were like, we have to raise our rates. So it started slowly. We were like $500. We were like, cool. And then it was like $750 and then it was $1,000. And then we would like consistently raise anywhere from like $250 to $500 probably every week because we just kept getting all these like this random work. But then we started realizing we were like, we don't want to post a billion ads. Like we would rather do less ads because we don't want to be sellouts, you know, like, and we would only post brands that we actually liked. Like we wanted to make sure that it was something that we were using or really connected with. We like tried to make sure that it wasn't just like random things just because we were getting paid to do it. So then we had a meeting with a management company because we had heard from several people like, you guys should get management and that will get you bigger deals. They handle all of your inbox and everything. Because balancing a wedding videography company now in 2021, the craziest year, we were dying. I was like so overwhelmed because we had all the reschedules on top of now this like growing business on the side of social media. So,
well, you also have to look at the brand deals because when they would send us these deals, we're not really looking through the contracts and we don't really know what we're looking at. I mean, there's so many different things and they're like, they had the rights to your video for say
How long?
6 to 8 months or years. And
for like the non-competes, like if we were working with a vacuum company, we couldn't work with their competitors. And then we didn't know that you could upcharge for the certain amount of time that, you know, you can't work with those other competitors. There was so much that we had no idea. So we had a meeting with a management company and then we just like, we didn't feel like we were ready.
Actually, it wasn't even that. No, we had the meeting with them and they were like, TikTok is for
kids,
for teenagers. Like that's not really like the platform for you to be on. And so I feel like they kind of shit on the idea of TikTok. So we're like, yeah, we don't have a good vibe here. Well, plus they didn't want us anyways.
And plus we didn't realize that management takes 20% of your income. So because they're handling so much.
Industry standard.
Yeah, we knew it was standard, but I was like, you know, I don't know if I'm ready to like release the reins yet. But then, I would say that was like beginning of 2021, like starting to get into the year. And I think we filmed our first wedding in like March or April. So we were still like able to balance it. But once it started getting deep into wedding season, I was like, we can't do this. Like I can't do both because we were consistently trying to get out of TikTok every day, trying to keep up with our wedding business. And so then we had another management company reach out and we were like, you know what, let's just have a call with them. And instantly we just felt like we connected with them. And they were like, we could do a 90-day trial or a 60-day trial. Like there's no contract signed. If you guys like working with us, awesome. Great. If you don't, great. Yeah, like you guys could leave and walk away at any point. And I was like, this is great because they can handle our contracts for our TikTok and our Instagram. And then we could focus on our couples because that's, I think, like one thing that I didn't want to happen being a quote unquote influencer was taking away from our bread and butter, which was our weddings. Like we had these couples and they're real people. And I didn't want them to think that because like we had this following now and this TikTok account that we were putting them like on the back burner. Like I wanted them to feel like they were priority.
Those are both separate. Like we do have the managers, but they have nothing to do with the mass and grid media side at all. Like we're still separate, like a separate entity than our social media platforms.
They don't like have anything to do with our weddings. So then they got us our first brand deal and we shit our pants.
Nick and I have to tell you about one of our favorite places to upload our wedding films, and that is Love Stories TV. Love Stories TV is one of the best free resources for us wedding filmmakers. The best part is they are bringing the couples to us. All we have to do is upload our films and we are good to go. Upload unlimited wedding films to your completely free business page. Setup is easy and your films can be live in just minutes. Now is the perfect time to start uploading to Love Stories TV. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to check out all of the details and see how Love Stories TV is giving away $10,000 in cash to wedding filmmakers just like you. That's howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to start uploading and connecting with the right couples today.
Hi, it's Michael from Wedditor. We want to thank everyone for the incredible support we've received since sponsoring How to Film Weddings. Yes, we've had some growing pains, but we've had far more wins. And we're doing something that's never been done. We're a remote team of over 50 editors in 10 countries. I often joke that we're as much a logistics company as we are a creative company. Right now, demand is off the charts. And we don't just say yes to everyone and scramble to figure it out. That's why we're asking you to help us help more of you. In short, we're looking for more talented wedditors. Part-time or full-time, work from where you want, when you want, as long as you hit deadlines and deliver quality. It's a chance to get paid while growing as an editor. Our project managers work with you, explaining why something feels right or doesn't, because there's always a reason. If you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. Go to wedditor.com/editor and fill out our form.
Our first brand deal that they brought us was a cleaning company, and they were paying us $8,000 for one TikTok. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? We do weddings that are full 8-hour days or 10 hour, well, with travel, probably 12 to 14 hour days. We're editing 40 hours behind that. And like, now we just have to do this one TikTok and we're making $8,000 doing this TikTok. Like, I fell over. I was dying.
Film, record, and do it all within like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty good hourly rate.
That was really, yeah. So that was like mind blowing to us. And then since then, our deals have just gotten bigger, doubled, tripled since then. And it's really the world of influencer marketing and working in like with a corporate side of like companies and videos. It's eye-opening because I just feel like, the wedding film world is such an art. And I don't want to say influencer like marketing isn't an art, but it's very like strategic. And just because you don't have you're not making commercials on like a quality camera, it doesn't mean that it's not like bringing value. And I think as professional like videographers, it took me a while to change that mindset that, you have to do what's like native to the platform. I don't know. And I kept thinking like we were getting these ads or like these brand deals. And I was like, we got to whip out like our drone. We got to whip out our DSLRs and like our mirrorless cameras and like do all this stuff for these brand deals. And they were like, that's not what we want. Like we want we want, what is native to the app. And this is like what we're hiring you for. So it's a different world, but it was crazy to us.
Not for nothing though. I think our managers actually pitch drone for like some of the videos.
I'm a licensed pilot, so you could totally upsell.
So as videographers, like everyone that's like in the wedding industry, you already have the tools to make these videos. So whether you use your cell phone or not, but like it could be beneficial to you with like what like you could use those DSLR cameras if you want. Using a drone, I mean, that's the fact that we can use that as like a pitch is pretty nice.
I think it just depends on what your content is.
Right.
Like we're comedy content, like on social media, like we're not, known as professional videographers, even though that's like part of our toolkit. But yeah, I think it was just very eye-opening, like the difference of wedding videos versus what TikTok is.
Yeah. And, I've seen a very small version of this, not very small, with How to Film Weddings and us being educators in the industry, it's adjacent to wedding films, but it is something that I can do during the week. It's something I'm not shooting and then editing for 40 hours. I'm getting paid for the content. And to watch that and to watch numbers come in and be able to reach more people and you do have these tools, and us being consistent doing this for 4 years, like last year, How to Film Weddings made almost 10 times as much as my wedding video company. And it has allowed me to do a lot of really cool things with my wedding film company. And so that's one thing I wanted to talk to you all about is like, you guys are making a lot of money, doing a lot of things over here on the side. What has that done for you when it comes to the quality of your wedding film work, the quality of couples that you're booking, what you're able to charge, all that kind of stuff?
So I would say we definitely we get more inquiries just because people come to our website and they're like, oh my gosh, like, what do you do? And then we'll find out that we do weddings, look at the area that we're in, inquire with us. We've always kind of tried to level up because, again, thankfully, like, we've never had issues not being able to book weddings. Like, we've capped out every year. So we were able to be really selective even before TikTok happened. And again, we kind of did the same thing with weddings that we did for our TikTok media kit, where like we would hit a certain amount of weddings, raise our rates. Like we start at $5,000. Once we hit 10 weddings for that year, we raised to $6,000. Once we hit 15 weddings for that year, we raised our rates to $7,000. Like we were consistently just like setting goals for ourselves and then raising rates.
I was very adamant about that.
Yeah. And I was, because I was more of the creative, like I trained John.
I think that was what was hard for Alex, is like thinking, you know, do we deserve to raise our prices? And I'm like, 100%. I think our work's amazing, and you're such a creative. But like knowing your worth and like being confident in what your abilities are. I
think every creative person has that issue where it's like, I don't even want to say imposter syndrome, but you definitely feel like because you want someone to have a good quality product, and even if they can't afford you, you're so passionate about them having a good product that you're like, I'll give it to you for free. Like that would be me. But John's like, no.
I will lose my mind.
Yes.
So
I can see that between the two of you though. Is like it's a really good mix, and I'm more like John in the fact, but like I think that there's like once you start like processing and feeling the real numbers that can come in, and what value you're bringing and getting out of your own way. Like we talk about that a lot here on the podcast, but it's like, I think getting past what you would pay for a wedding film is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And then moving past that to where it's like, I just booked a $25,000 wedding film. Like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
How, like, and being confident enough. So anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I also think like time management is so important to me. Like, and having like that mental break. Just like this year was the craziest year we've ever had. Like we know what we don't want to do. Like we know what our limit is, but like your mental health is so key and such a priority. Like I need, Alex would film everyone's wedding if she could. I'm like, we need to delegate. We need to have like our own time to like spend together. And like, I think that's a little more important than.
So we like went into like 2021, this past year was crazy. Like, John was saying, like our long days of just doing TikToks, editing wedding films. We were up at 6 a.m. and editing until 11 p.m. I'm sure like most people listening to the podcast are like, it's just busy days. But we made
so aggressive.
I just wanted to get it out.
It was pretty aggressive. Like,
So aggressive.
did I say something? Did I look wrong? What happened?
But we
Okay.
I wanted to just get it out that way. I didn't have a tickle.
Somebody's like running at the gym and they're listening to this. And it's like falling off. People are looking at them.
It wasn't a sneeze. It was my cough. But we went into... in 2021, we were like, we need to set a boundary for 2022 so that we do have some level of work-life balance, because we had none in 2021. So John was like, all right, 15 weddings. And I was like, oh, good Lord, no, we have to do 20. And he was like, Alex, 15. And then I was like, 18. Like I kept going back and forth with him, but it comes down to like trust. And I knew that we would be financially okay doing 15 weddings, especially having TikTok as our side business, which it's not our side business. It's our main business now. Yeah, I would say wedding films are our side business. But with that said, I always wanted to do weddings. Like it's what I truly love to do. We're passionate about, but this is why we needed to set a number and limit ourselves. So although we were getting a lot of inquiries because we were blowing up on these social channels, not everyone was our ideal client. obviously we had raised our prices to a range where we weren't mid-level anymore. We were more in the luxury market, and that's okay. Like, even though we had a lot of no's, I knew that anyone who was a yes was going to appreciate us and value us. So I like read all of the posts in the How to Film Wedding groups. And it breaks my heart when people get so like wrapped up in, oh, people can't afford for $1,000. I'm like, you don't want that client. Like, you don't want that person booking you anyway. So what's nice though is when we went to Vision Quest, Bottle Brush, they weren't able to make it, but they had an amazing presentation about rebranding and making your company really like related to you. And what's interesting that you said too earlier about changing your business name to your name because you felt like being a more personal brand. I always thought about that with photographers. I'm like, why are photographers able to charge an arm and a leg and videographers are slept on? And then I was like, does it have to do because like, you know, it's their personal name and their personal brand? But it made me realize that like, it's because they have these connections. Like, it's not just the work that they're bringing, because you could copy and paste a photographer's work, you know. Now, don't come at me. I'm not saying that you're not talented photographers.
Easy.
Settle.
Coming down now.
But like, the work doesn't necessarily differ. It's like the value that you bring with your connection, like, you know, the pre and the post wedding day process. Like, what does that look like? It's an experience. And like, we bring more to the table than just our work and our films. Like,
it's my bubbly personality.
It's this mustache. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's like one thing that we learned being at Vision Quest was our brand could be us and include us. Okay, John, we get it. He's messing
If you're not watching on YouTube, you are missing out. That's all I have to say.
But I think that was huge, though, learning that we could incorporate our personalities, because for so long we were like, we have to keep these two separate. Like, we can't let our brides know that we have a TikTok account. We can't let our couples know that we have this inappropriate podcast where we talk about John's penis and dirty things. So I was
What episode is that on? I'm just taking notes.
Every single one.
Episode 53.
1 through 50.
But then we've started realizing, like, our couples at weddings would be like, we love your TikToks. Like, we listen to your podcast every week. You know, you guys are hilarious. And it made us feel closer to our couples. And
one thing with that, though, I don't even know if you said that. We were a little nervous. We're like, we don't want to take away from their day either. So, like, you know, we're ghosts, you know, we stay in the back. We're not trying to like...
We're getting the candidates.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that like they knew that it was about them. So we weren't going to like show up and be like, we're Alex and Jon from TikTok, you know, on your wedding day. Like, it's very...
Like, if Alex did that, I'd be like, I'm leaving. I'm out. I'm so uncomfortable right now. I am out of here.
Well, I listened before, you know, when I started the business, I was like, I need to know all the things. So I listened to all of like the business podcasts that I could, and building a story brand taught me, you know, you don't have to be the hero. You want to be the guide. So when it came to our wedding film company, I was like, we need to be the guides. So that is like behind the scenes. We're leading our couples to like be the shining stars of the day, which they are.
Right.
So after Vision Quest and learning that, like, you know, our brand could reflect our personalities, we did go through a rebrand. I think we're launching in like 2 weeks at the end of February. Cool. We just saw our new website and it's fire.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
We definitely took a lot from like Bottle Brush. We were like, we just love their idea.
Well, because like what we've learned from just our personal brand on like TikTok and Instagram is when you are unapologetically yourself and really genuine to like who you are going to attract so much more people, but the right people.
Preach.
Amen.
But we also want to deflect the clients that we don't want. Like, I do want people to come to our website and be like, oh, like, I don't think I want to work with them. And that's fine too, because again, it's bringing us in the clients that we do want to work with.
I feel like I noticed like when we click with a couple, it just makes the day so much better, but like also, you know, their vibe is the same that we have for their film too, which is really nice.
There's something magical about that, right? Like whenever you do the self-exploration and like really digging and putting out there who you are, making yourself vulnerable. Here's my heart. Here's my website. Here's whatever it is. And somebody finds it and connects with it and is like, yes, I want that. And then they're like, I will pay you whatever. And like, what? And then you're like in this weird world that's like outside of the scope of the regular wedding filmmaker world, where it's just like, you're doing your thing. people are like freaking out, excited to work with you. They're booking their wedding date based on your availability. They will pay you whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not like we talk about money a lot on this podcast. It's not just about the money, but it's like, it's really nice, first of all, to get paid a lot for that. But secondly, like when they value your input, your like your knowledge, your work ethic, everything, when they value that and give you free reign, you can create the kind of films that are the thing. Like, but if you're taking 40 weddings and you're just squeezing as many in there as possible, it's like, I can't be this. But, you know, this year I'm at 9 weddings. Like, that's what I have booked. And I'm so stoked. I was telling my wife, I'm just like,
you're going to have the time to be so creative to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I'm flying to New York next week to do a wedding in Jersey and going into the city, and we're spending like 5 days. And then
we'll be in New Jersey. Is it this weekend? Next weekend
for a wedding. Your wedding's in Jersey or New York?
Jersey.
What? Wait.
We'll connect.
Yeah.
We'll connect. I can't tell you where on the podcast.
I don't know, Alex. We'll have to talk about this.
But I'm doing a meetup. No, just me. Sorry. Nick's in South Africa right now being punk.
I see where his priorities are.
We miss you, Nick.
Yeah, I know. But there is something magical about like having these 9 weddings and being okay, because I do have something that is making me money, How to Film Weddings, where it's giving me this freedom to say no more than I say yes. And that's something that I want people to take away from this. It's like, do I think that everyone listening to this needs to start a corporate brand? No. Do I think they need to be TikTok influencers? No. But there's something to like creating something on top of what you're doing, or just being selective and knowing, you know, like building towards that kind of thing to where you can say no. That's very, very important. So
and it makes you just
anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
I want you to add because I can tell.
You like see me itching to speak. No,
I'm like, he's almost done. He's almost done.
Throw it to me. I'm ready.
Popcorn, Alex.
Popcorn. John, when we first started dating, I was like, we should read a book together. He was like, I can't. And then he was like, we should popcorn read. And John's dyslexic, so he was.
I am actually dyslexic. I'm just saying that.
So this is not funny. No, this is uncomfortable. Cool. I can't react.
Anyway, I don't know. That just reminded me of what we first.
If you don't know what popcorn reading is, you remember when you're in class and like they'd be like popcorn John, and after I don't know, John looked at me with like a blank stare, so I wasn't sure if you knew what that was.
Oh, I'm just enamored by your mustache. I can't help myself. I get lost in it. No, yeah. You start one sentence and then it's like, Jimmy, you're picking up. Yeah. And if you're not paying attention, you get to look like a fool.
Right. Where were you going with this?
Booking clients that you like. But it just makes it easier.
Of course.
Yeah, that seems like it related, correlated.
No, I just think that, again, when you are yourself, you're attracting the clients that want to work with you, but it makes going, not only can you be more creative, but it makes going into the wedding day so much less stressful. And like you're working with a friend. Like even if, you know, you haven't FaceTime with them enough before the wedding and you don't know a ton about them, like you still have that connection on the wedding day, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable. Because I feel like when we first started, I remember walking into weddings with like a pit in my stomach, and I was like, I feel like I don't know these people. What are we doing? Like I don't love them as a couple. They're probably gonna get divorced. And
it's nice that Alex lets me go on the FaceTime calls with the couples now, because like I was going into weddings not even knowing what the groom looked like, so I'd be like,
who's
Billy?
the groom?
Billy?
Which, yeah, do not recommend. But you also don't remember. I would show you pictures and you're like, I'm not going to recognize that person. But
been there.
Yeah. Again, in the beginning, it's a learning curve. You're figuring out, you know, and I feel like in the beginning, you can't be as selective as you may want to be. But the more that you show up and show your personality, you can be more selective down the road. And it's just going to make your life easier, and also your couple's lives easier.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, John.
You
were ready.
Well,
you were ready.
Now I'm ready. Well, just
popcorn.
You
John.
and I were talking about it before we started the podcast today. Like, you know, one thing you just use these apps. They're free marketing tools. Like, try to find the time and just get your company out there. I mean, why not use it? And if you're like, I don't have time to do that, be like, well, make time. You know, and you talk about being consistent. Just keep doing it. Keep grinding it out. And I think you're going to see the benefit of doing it.
And although you're going to feel weird showing up, you have to show your face.
Well, even doing the clips of like your films, like do like a little highlight reel and put it on there, you know? Like,
well, yeah, everyone has the content, but it's a matter of, consistently posting it, but also showing yourself in between, like not just showing your best clients and your best weddings, like showing who's behind the camera, giving your tips,
100%.
Showing your face. But
And I think that kind of transitions me to what I really would love to hear from you, kind of talking. Like, I think a lot of people, like I posted even yesterday in our Facebook group, it's like, who wants me to do an Instagram review for them? And, 100 people message in or whatever. And I see the same kind of consistent things where it's just like, I don't know who this person, like after going to your profile, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you stand for. I don't like, it's a pretty wedding film, but there's nothing about it that makes me just want more, want to go the next. It's just like, yeah, that's pretty. That could work.
so you're saying like generic, like there are a lot of them are like the same.
Yeah. It's not like you go on their profile and feel like, oh, I know them. I see them in photos. I see that, like, I see a highlight, but like they're in their stories. They're, and you have these engaged couples coming to your website or your Instagram, and they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put them on my list. But if there's nothing that like is sticky and makes it stick out, they're just going to blow by you. So if you were giving advice to wedding filmmakers for all of the social media, really, the TikTok, you guys are obviously doing really well. Your Instagram has blown up a ton since I saw you. You had 40 or 50,000 followers when I saw you last, and now you're at like 180 or something thousand. And it's like, man, like, but I watch and you're very consistent. You're showing up, you're creating things that can go viral. So like, not necessarily just like in a comedy way, but like if you were giving advice to wedding filmmakers, new and old, just like everybody in between, what are some maybe takeaways that you would, if you weren't doing this comedy thing, but what you know now about TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah.
What advice would you have for us?
I would say, well, number one, our corporate account is not a great example. We're going through like an overhaul, but with that said, from a consumer standpoint, like when I was a bride, I wanted to go to a page and see who I was working with. Again, seeing their face, what they stand for, their values, hear their voice. And so even if you feel awkward, like you just have to get over that. So I like would almost post more of you than your work, like post behind the scenes, like even though you think that people do want to see your work, I think that they're going to connect more with you as a person and as a vendor than your work. Like what is going to make you stand out is going to be who someone wants to spend their day with on their wedding day.
I was going to say, what do you think as like a couple or as like a client, what do you think they look at first? Do you think they're looking at your work first, or is it like a blend between that and like your personality?
I could tell you, I was a bride. I'll tell you, John.
Tell me, talk to me.
I would look at their work. I mean, this is as a bride. Yeah. I would look at, because I was a recent bride, 2019. And so I would look at their work and be like, okay, like they hit my standard, but now I want to dive deeper. And so again, I think that you obviously have to have your work on there, but they could dive deeper like onto your website and like in your Vimeo or your YouTube. But what's going to make you stand out is going to be your personality. That's going to set you apart.
I've seen that again and again. And like, I think a lot of people too think that like the number next to your name is so super important. And for something like what you're doing, whenever I'm a brand, when I'm Nike and I want to do a funny video about shoes and I see somebody that has, 4,000 TikTok followers as opposed to someone with 800,000, it's like, oh, I care about that number a lot. And there is some like validity to the fact that it's like, yeah, you have a big number next to your name that adds to the clout of, hiring you as a wedding professional or whatever. But I know a lot of people who have a pretty small number, comparatively speaking, next to their name that are making $15,000, $20,000 per wedding film, myself included. My wedding film business has 6,000 or 7,000 people, which is a lot, but not like, crazy. It would be in a micro version of what you're doing. But like so many people are so worried about the number. How did you battle basically like always looking at the number as opposed to just like the consistency side of things?
Well, to us, the numbers for our wedding film account never mattered. it was always about the connection. So like, as long as we were making or like getting referrals, like getting the inquiries, as long as I could talk to the couple, I was like, we got them. Because as soon as I speak to them, create a connection, I was like, I know we're going to book them because they're going to like love me so much.
That's so accurate.
Yeah, but
To put it nicely, yes.
Yeah, but when people would be like, I don't get it. It's your first year in business. How are you fully booked? I'm like, because I'm getting to know the couple. I'm chatting with them. Like, I'm not just sending them cold emails and being like, here's our pricing. Like, I could send them my pricing, and if they're price shopping, of course, if I send them my packages for $8,000 and they can't afford that, they're just going to shoo me away.
I think you pitched really well though too, because like it's relatable. You're talking to the bride. I mean, you were a recent bride, and like I think there's a lot of familiar.
But even if you're a group, like, or even if you're a male shooter, like you could still connect with a couple regardless of, you know, who they are, where they're in their lives. Like, it's just about creating a personal connection and also letting them talk. Like, people love to talk about themselves, clearly. No,
Wow.
But like
Really?
Really,
Alex?
Here I am. But asking questions, like I would ask all the questions and then just let them, spiel and go off. And like, I feel like because we chatted for a long time, they were like, I really like this girl because, I was interested. I was actually
you
interested.
showed genuine interest when you were talking to them.
I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you choose that dress? Like, what kind of dress did you get?
how did he propose?
That's exactly what I do on my
Yeah.
calls.
Were you expecting? Yeah. How are you doing your hair? Oh, I did my hair like that too. From you. That's you
I
saying
think that like one thing that you just said that sparked, like, so when I'm selling too, if I get someone on a call, 99 out of 100 times they're going to say yes to me. And I would say I have a much more extroverted personality, and I'm working with what I've been given. I've been married now for almost 17 years. I have 2 kids, one's 11 and one's 5. They're both girls. And so I take the angle of, hey, I got married not too long ago. I'm 37. I got married when I was young. So I'm kind of in between you and your parents. So I know what they want. I know what you want. I know
Yeah.
what it's like being on this side of marriage. I have a little 11-year-old. I know what my mom, like if a mom's on the call, it's like I tell them I'm thinking about my wife and our daughter, and the mom lights up.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
So I'm connecting with them with what I have. And so don't try to be, Alex in your calls.
Right,
Be you
right.
yourself and like really think in how you can connect. And the cool part about that is some people, I do have those calls and they're like, I don't want that kind of film. I don't want a film that's this way. I want just a party. I just want to go crazy and have a party. That's not my couple, which is cool. But like I will point them to a bunch of people that I know, Jay and Mac, like check out Jay and
Yes.
Mac or check out you guys or a bottle brusher.
Yep.
Because this is going to be, and that's the one thing even we were talking about before we hit record is just like when you're saying no to people that aren't your heck yes, like you're allowing somebody else that is their heck yes to get a yes. And if
Yes.
you're saying yes to people that you're like, okay, yeah, it's $5,000 or $2,000 or $10,000, whatever it
So
is.
you're
I'll take it. I
reluctant,
need the work. Then you're not going to give them the product that they need, and you're stripping it away from somebody. What if you just took a second and listened to them and said, oh, you know what? My friend Bob is a better fit. He would he'd be perfect for this.
And
Not,
they'll be
I just
happy
need that
to
money.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that is that reciprocity that like continues to grow. So, I could talk to you guys all day. We're running out of time. But I want people, if you have anything else you want to add, I want to do that. And then I'll give you a chance to like tell people where they can find you, follow your wedding work, all that stuff. But anything else you want to add just on this conversation with social media, consistency, branding,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
I think that a lot of people overanalyze what people think about them. No one cares about you, truly. So like if you're embarrassed to show up on social media because you think you look like an idiot, you don't. You think you might look like an idiot, but you don't.
Just look at our account.
Yeah,
and
look
you'll
at our
be fine.
account. You could just look to us and be like, wow, they're dumb.
They're
but
idiots.
No, but like it's worked out so well for us again, and we still keep them separate. People who find out that we're wedding videographers are like, what? Like we're in the same industry. This is crazy. But so we've just learned so much from both, like being the business owner who still consistently shows up but makes the genuine connections, and then showing up as ourselves from like another side of social media and how that translates. And I just think that we spent too much time worrying about what people think about us and not showing up and like being scared to share our work, being scared to post the content. And everyone's just concerned about themselves. So don't care. Just get it out there. If you have even like a
If you haven't tried it, just at least try it first. I mean, don't say no before you've even made an attempt. And maybe TikTok's not your thing. Try Instagram. Maybe Instagram's not your thing. Try a podcast. Try YouTube. Just try it. I mean, it's not going to hurt.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So just don't be afraid.
I love that. I love the it's interesting because of like people will say like I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like the way I look. I don't like yesterday. I'm so used to being in front of my phone, my camera now. Like I had rolled out of bed. I have a gym right next door in my house here. I just worked out. I'm sweaty. I have my hat on. I was like, oh yeah, I need to post something about something on Instagram. I flip my phone on. I just talk, and people are like, I just love that you're real. I love that you're not like trying to get everything perfect. And you are right though. People are worried about themselves mainly. And if they're going to judge you for just being you in front of your camera, then they can like, who cares? Like they're just not the kind of people
you don't want them in your lives anyway. Like you don't want to connect with those people. Like those aren't your people if they're going to judge you for that. I'm not going to say it's going to like, it's easy off the bat because there are days where I second guess like some of the content that we have. And I'm like, oh, this is performing really bad. Like, do I delete it? Or my hair's out of place here. Like do I need to like put makeup on for this TikTok? And it's like, if you overthink it, you're going to overthink yourself out of doing it. And so, I mean, I think it's Mel Robbins. She talks about it, the 5-second rule, where like, if you have an idea, count down from 5 and just do it. So that's just one piece of advice.
And if you're out there listening, you know, this might practically look like you getting on your stories this week and just saying something you're excited about that you're doing, showing them behind the scenes of your edit, showing them while you're at a wedding, dancing, like just be you and be okay with that. And like, use this tool, this free tool, all these free tools, learn them, grow on them. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm working with some people right now that are a comedian actually on TikTok that I'm helping grow his brand. And like he just had his first video, it's had like 700,000 or 800,000 views.
Oh, awesome.
He's 9 videos in, and it was just like, just be consistent. Just in watching that momentum after he went from 0 to 10,000 followers in the last 2 weeks. He's just like, I can't believe that. Like he had to work through. He was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He just like, I don't like this. I might have offended someone with this video that I made. I might have, but like he was growing and he was moving. And now you like see that momentum. It's like going to the gym. It's uncomfortable. You're sore. You're sweaty. You're cranky. It's like, but I kind of like it now.
It's a
I
habit.
like Brussels sprouts.
Habitual.
And then you start seeing the success and that flywheel starts turning and it's like,
and then it doesn't
20
stop.
grand for a deal, 50 grand for a deal, 100. Where is this going to stop? This is crazy. And we're in this weird spot. I don't know if you guys have read the book Outliers, but we're in this real weird spot in the history of time. But the premise of the book is Bill Gates couldn't have been Bill Gates if he was 5 years older. And Steve Jobs couldn't have been because computers weren't developed to an extent that they were until right then in the 70s. And they had to be in the Pacific Northwest because that's where the computers were. And it's like they were an outlier. It's like the one time in history that this could happen, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't invent computers. By the time I'm born, they're here. Like I couldn't have done that. You know, Windows 95, I was like 6 years old. That was the first time that computers were. So point being is like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube shorts and fill in the blank with the stuff like this era. When we fast forward 30 years from now, like if you think about like just where you are in the history of time with your skill set, with your personality, with the tools that you have, what can you do? So that's what I think about when I think of you guys and just like what you're doing. And it's like, people say it to us. It's like, oh, it was really good. You started your podcast in 2018 before everybody in the world was doing podcasts.
I hate
and it's
that.
like,
I know, but
whoa.
it's like, it's all start today. Literally.
Anyone that says you're so lucky drives me crazy. Like, that's right. We haven't been grinding away every single day doing something, you prick.
Right place, right time.
Or your camera takes really good videos. Your camera takes really good photos. It's the same thing. People will find an excuse to tell you why you're successful and while they're not.
Yeah.
And the people that I know that are the most successful are a lot, you know, I see the same traits and you guys relentless, diligent, driven, and you grind it out. Like that's just what you're doing. And if people are if you're hearing our voice right now, we're basically pleading with you to get out there and do that because it's so much fun on this side of creating that content.
And like put your pride to the side. I think so many videographers are like, oh no, I'm not going to put out content with my iPhone because I have this skill. I've mastered this talent using this gear that I spent thousands because again, that was me. But get out of your own way. Like who's stopping you? Like you're stopping yourself. So cliche. You're the only one in your way.
You have to adapt with like the times too, what's going on. Like that's where the market is right now. Like use your cell phone, like get uncomfortable. Like you said in the beginning, like you have to be uncomfortable, keep growing, keep learning.
I love it all. I could keep going forever and ever. I'm gonna stop after I say one last thing. When we started How to Film Weddings,
Alex is gonna say the last thing.
Well, you're gonna say you got to tell us. Yeah, you get to end it. But when we started How to Film Weddings, being a guy that is a wedding filmmaker at that point in like my 13th year, I did not know how to use Kelvin color settings yet. I knew nothing about studio lighting or audio. And Nick and I are starting this podcast, and people are messaging us saying, "Wow, Nick, your lights look good." And they're not saying I knew nothing. I was uncomfortable with the way I looked. And like, even just when you guys first signed on, you're like, "Wow, you look great. Your setup is great." I learned, I got uncomfortable. And like, if you go back to episode 1, we didn't record video. We just recorded audio. Episode 15, we recorded video, but I filmed my computer screen like to get our guests.
Well, that's what, fake it till you make
John,
it.
weren't you like, didn't they do all the lighting tests on you at Vision Quest?
They did. They did.
It's like, he has some spectacular skin.
Yeah.
I could see his pores.
Yes.
But
it's
I think figuring it out as you go, because I think a lot of times too, you will nitpick yourself left and right because you don't know how to do something. And that's like one thing too. When we started our podcast, we were like, well, we probably recorded our first episode 7 times because we were so, we just like could not get it perfect. And I was like nitpicking everything we were saying, how it sounded. I mean, it took us.
Well, hearing your voice for the first time too, you're like, ugh.
Yeah. But then you just, once again, you get in a groove of it, you just put it out there and you just learn as you go. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing where I want to leave people with, and then I'm going to let you. It's just get out there, do it. We will have to have you guys back on because there's so much more stuff. But where can people find you? Your wedding brand, also obviously your
plug us out
influencer band.
Our influencer-ness. Well, our wedding company is Madison Gray Media, so you could find us there. But then otherwise, if you want to get a good laugh, you could find us at Alexandra Madison _ on TikTok, and then Alexandra Madison with 2 N's on Instagram. John, do you want to plug yourself? You have an account too.
I actually am growing a little bit. J Bouffard too.
It was his Gmail. I'm like, this is such a dad Instagram
That's how
name.
much I know about technology.
J
I'm like, am I putting my
Bouffard
username in here as my name?
Yeah.
I love it. I actually just like, that's what's so attractive about you guys is it's just like, you're unapologetically you feel like you know, like by the time that people meet you, they know you. And if you just look at us as human creatures, it's like we're drawn to people that we are like feel like we can relate to.
Yes.
And so anyway, thank you guys so much for taking the time to be on.
Thank you for having us. Such an honor.
Besides Nick not being here, but that's fine. John, I'll take you, Mr. Bunn.
Sloppy seconds. Second place. Here I am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Alex and John, for taking the time to be on the podcast. I am inspired. I'm excited to go watch your viral TikTok videos and laugh. If you haven't already, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/store. That is where we have all of our digital templates to help you in your wedding film business. We have a consultation guide, we have email templates, we have pricing guides, and so much more. Again, thank you to the devoted How to Film Weddings community for tuning in, being part of this community. We love all of you, and until next time, we'll see you. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at WedFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. WedFlow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, WedFlow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples. Accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/WedFlow to check out WedFlow today.